Hi, this is Mrs. Rains. I'm back with another video, and this week we're on sort 3, again talking about prefixes and seeing how, when we understand what those prefixes mean, how we can also figure out what the words actually mean as well. So our first sort is re, and that means again. Our second sort is ex, that means out of. Our third sort is in, and that means into. And our fourth sort is D, and that means take away. All right, so go ahead and pause the video right now and underline those prefixes. All right, once you went ahead and underline those prefixes in your words, we can go ahead and talk about each of the words and what they mean. So you should have your Words Their Way journal out in front of you, and you should be taking notes on the words and what they mean with their definition. All right, so the first word we're going to talk about is replay. Replay basically means to play something again. Just like the word re means again, it means to play again. So a lot of times you use it when you're talking about replaying a movie or replaying a song. The next word we're going to talk about is reclaim. So to claim something means that you own it. So to reclaim something means that you're going to basically get it back again, that it would be yours again. The next word we're going to talk about is rerun. Rerun, we use that when we're talking usually about TV shows. So if we see a rerun on TV, we will say, okay, well, that's a rerun. You know, we see that it's been played again. So it's very similar to replay. Basically, it means to replay something over. The next word we have is reaction. So reaction is basically like an action or a feeling that you would have like in response to something or an event that happened. It could be a good reaction, it could be a bad reaction, but it basically is an action or a feeling that you would take in response. The next word we have is reconsider. So to reconsider means to think about a decision maybe that you made or somebody else made again. So let's say your parents decide something, they made a decision about something. If they were to reconsider that decision, maybe they might change their mind or they might stick with what they decided, but it's basically to rethink about it again. The next word we have is research. Research means to investigate or look into a topic. So, you know, when you're looking into maybe an interesting topic like the Titanic or, you know, whatever it is that you're interested in, and you research that, you could find things that, you know, have already been discovered, or you can find new things that haven't been discovered yet. The next word we have is reappear. So it means to appear again. So it just become visibly appearing again. So when I think of this word, I think about like usually like a swimmer, you know. So a lot of times like with swimming, if you go under the water, you know, someone may be visible to you at one end of the pool, but then they may go under the water and then come back up at the other end of the pool, so they would reappear at the other end of the pool. All right, so our next word is going into the next category that we have, which is ex, talking about out of something. So this first word is exhale. Exhale means to breathe out. And there is actually an opposite meaning word in the in category, because if you notice the ex out of category and the in into category, they're opposites of one another. So there is an opposite word meaning here that I'm going to write down right now so that you can see how they're opposite. So in this category now, we're going to talk about inhale. So exhale means to breathe out, and inhale means to breathe in. So taking that deep breath in, and then exhaling would be letting that air come out. And there is another opposite meaning word, so I'm going to talk about exterior next. And for this category, the opposite meaning would be interior. All right, so these two are opposites of one another. Look, they look very similar. But exterior, because of the out of meaning, basically means outside of something. Like outside of a home is the exterior of a home. In the in category, which means into, interior means inside of something. So if you're going into the interior room, you're going inside the room. All right, so next word we have for the X category is excess. So if we have an excess of something, it means that we have too much of something. So like if there's an excess of donuts or an excess of cupcakes, you can usually share with extra people that you might not have planned on sharing with. The next X word that we have is for exile. Exile means to send someone out or far away from his or her country. And that would be like forever. So like if a king was exiled from his kingdom, he would be sent away from his kingdom and he would never be allowed to return again. So that's exile. The next word we have is explore. Explore means to search and discover, to find out more. You could travel to explore, or you could just explore by asking questions and looking into a subject. The next word we have for X is exhaust. So exhaust has two meanings. You could say, well, you know, you could talk about how you're so exhausted, right? That would be like to exhaust someone. That would be to tire out someone. The other exhaust is actually a part of a car. You see it at the rear end of the car. It's like the pipe that lets all the exhaust air out, like the smoke out from the car. And then the next category, so we're done with the X category now. So now we're going to get into more words for the in. We've already talked about inhale and interior. So our next in word would be inflate. Inflate means to fill up with air. So to pump up with air. So if you're inflating a balloon, you're filling it up with air. The next word is inhabit. Inhabit is like basically where something lives, like where it lives as a home. It does not mean like a habit, like behavior wise, like a good habit or a bad habit. That's not what it means. So inhabit something means like where they live, like a habitat. The next N word we have is inmate. So inmate is a prisoner. They live in a jail. So that would be an inmate. Next word we have is install. Install means to place in or to fix into something, or to fix into position, or that it's ready to use. So for example, we install dishwashers into our home, or new floors, or new cabinets. So basically installing means to put into something. Next category we have is D, and that would be to take away. So our first word for this one is deflate. And if you notice, that is an opposite meaning word. Over here we have inflate. So deflate means to take air out of something. So a lot of times, like our basketballs or our soccer balls will deflate a little, usually from the heat of being outside, or even sometimes from being in the cold. I know we don't have cold a lot here in Florida, but usually we do experience those balls deflating, and so that would be the air taken out of the ball. Next word we have is deprive. Deprive means to take away something. And usually it's something that is like necessary, or it's super important, or something pleasant. So let's say you're in trouble. Let's say you get grounded for something. Most likely, if you're grounded, your parents are going to deprive you, usually of like electronics. So like your video games or your iPads or tablets, whatever it is, or TV time, they would deprive you of using those items that you would want to use. So that's deprive, to take away something from someone. The next word we have is defrost. Defrost, we don't have to do this a whole lot here where we live, but it basically means like to take away ice. Like a lot of times up north, they have to defrost their cars because it gets super cold up north. Or a lot of times defrost can mean talking about taking something out of your freezer. Like chicken, let's say you have chicken in the freezer and you need to defrost the chicken. So in that case, yes, you would take it out of the freezer, let it sit out until the ice was taken away. The next word we have is decrease. Decrease means to become less or smaller in number, or in size. So the opposite meaning of that would be increase, to become larger, right? So decrease would be to become smaller in number, and increase would become larger in number. Now, increase is not one of our words for our in category, but I did want to just point out the opposite meanings of that, because you will hear those words quite often, especially in math when you're talking about that. So it does deal with numbers, and decrease is talking about going down in numbers. The next word, which is our last word, is delete. So delete means to erase or be removed from something. A lot of times we do have a delete key usually on our keyboards on a computer. So delete could be talking about erasing something that is either written or typed. Okay, that's our words. And remember, you can listen to this video as many times as you need to in order to hear the definitions and write them down in your journals so that you can get credit for that homework. We will be having a Words Their Way test for this sort coming up, not this Friday, but the following Friday on September 28th. So that will be when your homework is due, and also when your vocabulary and spelling test is going to be on that day. And please remember, if you have any questions, you can always ask me in class as well. All right, I will see you guys later.